I have three super exciting news updates around the student loan world, as well as my own personal news update that I'll share at the very end. If you like our content, please like it, please subscribe, please share with other student loan borrowers. I am going to talk about today, news piece number one is I want to talk about the speculation around when Biden will give news about the $10,000 of relief. The second piece I want to talk about is to date, who has received the billions of dollars of relief that Biden has provided. And if you're still part of the pool that can get relief, please listen up because you need to file into these different programs sooner rather than later. And then the fourth piece is some servicer news update, pro tips on how to manage your servicer. And then lastly, I have some my own words of wisdom around student loan, around just money management and my tiny house update and things that I'm doing to further my own wealth building journey. And I'm going to bring you along on that, right? So I gave a tiny house update a few weeks ago. So I'm going to continue to do that as well on the personal front. Okay, so first and foremost, but let's dive into the news. First and foremost, it's speculated by many news outlets that Biden will make an announcement about the $10,000 of relief in July or August, like right before student loan payments get kicked back in. And there's multiple reasons for this. Number one is because it's closer to the midterm election, so it will help him gain political favor, even though us student loan borrowers here are sitting on edge. Number two is it will give them time to formulate how the forgiveness will go, as in, like, will there be an income limit? Will we have to file any paperwork? Like, what are all the rules and parameters around the relief? And then also, it is closer to the restart of repayment. So, for example, those who don't get their debt completely eliminated, it will give him a clear to actually start repayment again. Because it's like, well, I gave that $10,000 of relief. I did my part. Now, if you didn't qualify for whatever reason, or it wasn't enough relief for you and you have more than 10 grand, well, now guess what? You're going to have to start paying. So it's a way to position that he did something right before payments get kicked back in. So before I was predicting that payments would get pushed to December, but now with the $10,000 of relief, I think the payment will in fact be starting again by September 1. So that means the part I'm going to talk about now, which is these special programs that Biden provided billions of dollars, like over 20 billion of relief for, and these targeted relief programs, if you qualify, like, apply sooner than later and deal with your servicer sooner rather than later, because you do not want to wait until September comes around when people are just inundating the servicers because payments start again. Okay, that's hugely important. So let me shrink my screen, talk about some of the news around who received this relief. First of all, the people who qualified for this $25 billion in relief include a lot of people who went to Corinthian College from like 1995 to 2004 or something, and also like borrowers who were defrauded by their school, including several. Corinthian College was one of them, but several lists of schools. If you went to a for-profit school like this, there's a whole list of what qualifies for relief. I will put in the description below if you need to know. Like, for example, like Maranello School of Beauty. There's several, DeVry, ITT Tech, Nursing Program, Westwood College, Minnesota School of Business, and the Globe University's Criminal Justice Programs. Those are just to name a few. Of course, borrowers who are totally and permanently disabled. We've helped a few borrowers with disability discharge. So this is a big one. The borrowers we've helped with the most relief to date have been those that qualify for the PSLF waiver. So at any point, if you worked for nonprofit, hospital, school system, any not-for-profit entity over the last 10 years, you really need to file into the PSLF waiver program before this pause payment period ends. The deadline to be part of the limited waiver program is you must file into the program by October. So if you work for a nonprofit at any point, I would go ahead and file into the program. If you need help with that, we're here to help you. We've helped borrowers who had a lot of payments that didn't get counted and actually get complete relief before they ever have to get kicked into repayment. And it boosted their credit score from like 50 to 100 points. So taking off that debt from their credit report really did help them improve their credit. So I did want to talk about that. We've helped several dozen borrowers achieve those results. So if you are one of them that worked for a public service organization and need help discovering or understanding what to do and you don't right now, like, do not hesitate. You can get started completely for free, myloansense.com, okay? And then, of course, let's see. Okay, so now let me talk. Those are the largest programs that Biden has funded for relief. But let me now talk about point number 3 I wanted to talk about, which is how to manage your servicer. First of all, Great Lakes and NowNet has merged. If you had Great Lakes as a servicer, they were actually one of the better servicers from a customer service standpoint that I could see, is now sending their loans to be serviced officially to NowNet. So in that transfer, just make sure your information is accurate, updated correctly. And once we get kicked into repayment, that you enroll in auto debit with your new servicer. I predict that there's going to be several servicer changes over the next several years because the rules to navigate these programs keep on getting more and more complex, okay? If you were at default at any point, this pause period should have helped you get out of default. I would pull my credit on annualcreditreport.com and make sure that your now positive standing for your student loans is actually reflected on your credit, and that there's no, I would just make sure my credit is updated to reflect that my student loans are in positive standing, because obviously if they're not, that can hurt your credit. And this time of pause payments the administration talked about is used to cure anybody in default, right? Collections stopped, and the official 9 payments of rehabilitation you automatically got during this pause period time. So look at your credit report, make sure that's updated. Okay? Very important. There's probably going to be more news around default that's going to be coming out, like default reform, student loan default reform. I'll keep you updated on that if that's relevant to you at all. Of course, my advice is to get into the right program to get an affordable payment to prevent default entirely, because it can literally ruin your life, and we don't want borrowers to experience that. We have helped several borrowers not just get out of default, but manage the collections process and get into affordable payments to resolve their defaulted status and be able to buy a house, and do many other, and have access to many other financial goals and aspirations they were unable to get access to when their student loans were in negative standing. Okay, that is my news. I try to run through it really, really quickly. Please ask me questions, comment, subscribe, engage with me. I love to answer questions. Now for my personal update. My tiny house is going to be here in about 12 days. I updated my electrical panel, which is sitting right outside of here. I'm actually sitting in my Airbnb right now because I'm remodeling my kitchen, and this is the back unit of my house. So what was really important to me when I want to talk about a decision I made in 2016. I was going to start my MBA. And I had a chunk of savings because I knew I was going back to school. And while you're in school, you don't work. So I had a chunk of savings, and I thought to myself, do I want to use this savings to get no student loan debt? Or I really like this place called St. Petersburg, Florida. Should I buy a house there and expect that the gains in the home value will be greater than the interest rate I would pay on my student loan, right? I decided to use my savings not to lower my debt burden for my MBA, but to use my savings to put on a down payment on a home. The home I wanted, though, I was very specific with my realtor. I wanted a home that I knew could be split into 2 units. So I did that. I love finding 3 to 4 bedroom homes, 4-bedroom homes that could be split into three bedrooms and 1 bedroom, like 2 separate units. So I found this home that could be really easily split where I just cover like literally a doorway, and the house would literally be 2 units because there's a door exit at the back, right? Point being is I split it. So now I'm sitting in the Airbnb part of my house. They have a completely separate entrance to my area of the house. And that means I could rent out 2 separate units. I can live in a unit, have someone live back here, help me pay the rent. I could Airbnb it. But not just that, I'm taking it a bit further. I have a huge backyard. So now we have such a housing shortage. I'm putting a tiny house back there so I could have another rental unit. So the point is like, I will grow my net worth through the equity in this house. And I made the right bet because my house value increased by 3 times, significantly higher pace and rate of home value increase than the student loan interest I had to pay. In addition, I got in when the market was really good. And there's like, at this point in time, this house would be worth 3 times what I paid in 2016 with my down payment in a significantly less competitive market. Another video I filmed today is like how, although we have higher interest rates adjusted for inflation, our mortgage interest rate is actually negative still. So don't fear the increased mortgage interest rate as long as you can afford a home. It may still be a great investment even in this market right now, as long as you can afford the payment. Just remember that your mortgage payment will stay the same while your salary will increase, the cost of living will rise. And in 20 years from now, like if your mortgage is $2,000, rent in that area might be $4,000, right? So you're locking in a place to live, financial security, wealth building. There's so much value in buying a home, and there's so much value in having your assets work for you and your assets grow in value over time. So I wanted to share that because it's just so important to understand macroeconomics, but also understand what is a rational decision versus what is fear-based, and to try to get as much information and understand how to outweigh your fears with reality and make the right decision. Because a lot of people are like, oh, that's such a big purchase. I'm too scared to do it. But what's the alternative? Is the alternative to pay double the rent in 10 to 15 years from now? Is the alternative, what is the alternative, right? So just think about the alternative. And that's, and also to buy smart, you know, house hack, land hack. That's what I've really tried to live by. I love houses with open access backyards, so you could put whatever in the back, you know, and increase the value of your home, whether it's through a deck, a livable auxiliary unit. Like there's all kinds of things you can do to increase the value of your house, just with your backyard space even. So thinking about things like that. Anyways, that's all I have for today. If you like this content, please like it. Again, share it with those you think it's relevant to. But for my fellow student loan borrowers out there, do not let your student loans and fear of managing your student loans stop you from living the life you want, from building the wealth and doing the things you want. Okay, so if I can inspire anyone with that note, please share this content and comment, what do you want to hear more about, so I can make videos around that content. Thank you and have a great rest of your week.